What is the similarities in the construction of the pyramids in Egypt and the construction in the pyramids in Mexico and South America? Are they super similar? Like, do you think there are pyramids that look like they were built around the same time?
Well, there were certainly pyramids built at exactly the same time. The pyramids in Caral. So I got some photos of this. You want me to pull this up?
Yeah.
Let me turn on my laptop. So, okay, so this is the Valley of the Pyramids. Let's look at Caral. So I might have to zoom in a little bit. Some of these photos aren't the best.
Where is Caral again?
Caral is central Peru, kind of on the coast. It's in an area called the Valley of the Pyramids.
Okay.
So there's all these pyramids that what I'm about to show you. There are all these pyramids that if I were to show you, like if I were to tell you this is an obscure site in Egypt, you would instantly believe it. I'm telling you, bro, it looks exactly like
Really?
Egypt. Yes, it's shocking. Let's see if we can get these up. So, but a lot of these photos, like there aren't people that are going out there taking photos of these sites with, the same kind of high resolution and great photo quality, because people don't go visit these sites. In Egypt, you could find a photo of damn near anything you want to find. As something as obscure as the Cedars of Lebanon in the Bent Pyramid, that's going to be tough because I don't think like your average person can get into the Bent Pyramid. Ben can get his way in there, but your average person can't. So I'd love to see Ben talk about it. Because if there's a more compelling argument than what I'm putting up, I want to hear it and I want to change my mind, or I want my mind to be changed about it. Because I think it's super mysterious. That's super mysterious. But anyways, in ancient Peru, dude, yeah, I mean, okay, so let's say that Egyptologists are right, and the Old Kingdom, pre-dynastic Egypt, are the progenitors of the Great Pyramid, or the progenitors of the pyramids in Egypt. Well, according to that chronology, about 600 years before that, between 3300 and 3100 BC, ancient Peruvians were starting to build pyramids as well. Not in the same way, though. And
all right, so what do we got here?
Okay, so these are the ancient pyramids of Caral. Now, you can kind of tell that the top layer is missing because of how much it's been eroded over time and how much it's deteriorated over time. But most people have literally never seen this before. These date back to just over 5,000 years ago, about 3,300 BC to 3,100 BC. They're being created by ancient Peruvians, and they have these all over this little valley. Let me see. I've got another photo right here. I'm sorry, this might not be a Caral pyramid. Here we go. There's two other pyramids of Caral.
Whoa.
Now, the resolution on them is unfortunately not that great because, like I said, there's just not a lot of people going out here to take quality photos. This is something I intend to do over the course of my career, like publish a lot of studies as well as just good photos and videos and drone videos of these places. Now, I want to say there's around 15 to 20 of these pyramids that predate the official time of like the Old Kingdom in Egypt. And what's interesting about these sites is that when archaeologists go in there, the few that actually go there and spend time studying these areas, because this is arid. I mean, this is a 3-hour drive into the middle of nowhere in Peru, in the middle of the desert. And what they're finding here is that these ancient Peruvians somehow were they were obviously aware that earthquakes were a regular thing. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you see structures out here that are that they're about the same size as these pyramids, but they're completely collapsed. And so some of the stones are left over, but a lot of the stones get reused. And so they're right here, we see ancient Peruvians working on building anti-seismic structures. So anti-seismic would be anti or earthquake proof structures. And so they're doing this by like, have you ever seen people build structures using like concrete bags or bags that are full of rocks or something, and they build it up and then they don't take the rocks out of the bag. They just the bag is like an artificial brick that's full of rocks. That's kind of what they're doing here. This is like the beginning of Peruvians learning how to build anti-seismic structures. And so I guess what happens here, and I'm not super familiar with the way Caral works. I'm much more familiar with, these giant megalithic sites that we'll get into that are in Inca territory. May have not been built by the Incas, but this is kind of where traditional archaeology says that ancient Andean culture, ancient South American, Peruvian culture is learning to build anti-seismic structures. So this is going on at exactly the same time that Djoser and Imhotep were alive. So yeah, this is kind of the beginning of
Which was about 5,000 years ago?
Yeah, so Djoser and Imhotep, I don't think anybody disputes when they lived. The reason being, because at his necropolis, it says that was him. You know, there are the hieroglyphs that are there. It's amazing that like the grander pharaohs that come after him, there's not like hard evidence that they actually existed. You know, it's just writings about them. But yes, yeah, this is happening exactly at the same time and a little bit before the construction of the Saqqara necropolis in Egypt. Basically exactly the same time.
Okay. And the rocks that are underneath these things are they just very soft stones?
Yeah.
Or how are they actually seismic?
So I think here they're not. Maybe there's like a strong foundation of some kind here, but really that evidence comes later on when you get to what they call. They call it like the Tiwanaku culture, Chavan-de-Huntar culture, or the Chavin culture, and then the Incas, which the Incas, it's tough. So what you're talking about is, now I haven't gone to see these in person, but this right here, this may be Ollantaytambo or Sacsayhuaman, similar architecture, but you see this massive block down here to the bottom right.
Yep.
A normal person, so I'm about 5'10". I'm not even half as tall as that block.
Wow.
And another maybe fifth of that block is under the ground. but the foundations beneath these structures, it's like a soft foundation of smaller rocks. So you would think like have you ever heard of the temple of Jupiter at Baalbek, Lebanon?
Yeah.
Did they talk about that on their shows?
No, we didn't talk about that. But
So the temple of Jupiter has these. I think it has the biggest artificial blocks on the entire planet. So the one's called like the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, which is like sitting in the quarry. But there's actually another one underneath it that's even bigger. So these are estimated to be 12 to 1,400 tons. And they think that the Romans built it, but there's not very good evidence that the Romans built it. And if it wasn't the Romans, it wasn't anybody before them. So that's another compelling argument for a structure that's been there for 10,000 years potentially. I mean, this is just something that's completely inexplicable, and the civilization that they say built it, it's a hard argument to make that the Romans built these stones at Baalbek. But anyways, so the stones at Baalbek, they're actually not the foundation. You would think that these massive stones are the foundation, but they're not. There is a giant solid foundation there, and the stones are put on top of the foundation. But when there's earthquakes, it cracks the whole thing because it's completely solid. Well, here, somehow these ancient American, ancient Andean cultures realized that having a solid foundation would crack and basically destabilize the entire structure. So they build these massive, I'm talking about, these are some of the most massive stones that are used in the entire planet, except in case for places like the Temple of Jupiter at Baalbek. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure that in Egypt you're seeing blocks that are this big, and these are made out of granite, I believe. Wow. Some of them are basalt, but a lot of these are granite. So these ancient Andean cultures are using exactly the same type of stone. I'm not sure that there's examples of diorite. There may be. Ben may know something more about that. I'm not sure that there's examples of diorite, but they're using the same stones with the exact same hardness as what you're seeing in ancient Egypt. So they're building these on soft foundations. And so I think this is the same site from a different angle. So I mean, some of these are some of these blocks are as big as a Volkswagen, and then more of the block goes underneath the ground, and then beneath that is a soft foundation, so that when there's an earthquake, that entire structure will shake and move and settle back into place.